Hello, this is Sana from Ready and Thriving, and today we're talking about emergency apps that you need to have on your smartphone. And the time is really now to go ahead and get those on there. You don't want to be trying to rush and trying to download things in the middle of an emergency. So get everything now. It'll take you about 15 minutes or so, and you'll have resources that will help you to, number one, protect yourself. Number two, get you the information that you need to be able to survive and thrive in an emergency, and to communicate more broadly with others, to mark yourself as safe or to contact your loved ones in the need of an emergency. So let's get started and talking about which apps in particular and how to set up your phone to survive and thrive through an emergency. The first one is to, number one, protect yourself. On your phone will be a health app. And on that health app, please look for that now because you'll want to fill in two particular parts. Put in your profile and go ahead and fill that in. Now, it may look like when you're going into your health app, it's recording your steps or, talking about kind of daily health. That's not what we're talking about here. If you fill in your profile, you'll be able to provide health details and also medical information and contact information to an emergency service worker in the case of an emergency and you aren't able to give all that information yourself. So this is really your emergency contact card, which gives medical professionals everything they need to know. And they can do that directly from your phone without accessing everything else. They can get just to your emergency contact card and only see the information that you want them to be able to see. But very important to fill that in. So go to your health app now and start to fill in your profile. Of course, put in your name, and then when you go into your profile, there'll be something called health details. When you go into your health details, it'll be things about you. So your name, your blood type, wheelchair, or types of medications. Then there's a second part, which is your medical ID. This has even more information, which is really critically important. So what you'll want to do, you can mark here whether you want to be an organ donor or not. You can also mark here that you can share this on your lock screen. That's super critical. Make sure that you do that, because that is where an emergency medical professional can just swipe and then get to emergency contact information and then see the information that you want them to have. If you don't click that, then it's not set up. But in this medical information, you can put in any medical conditions that you may have that they should know about. Any allergies or any reactions that you have to medications or really to anything, so that they know what they're dealing with. And then you can also put in the details about any medications that you're on, and also your emergency contacts. So the name and the phone number, so that they can contact them in case of an emergency. Now there's also a couple features here, which is emergency access. So if you actually are calling emergency, it can automatically send your location and that you're calling emergency to your emergency contact people. Now you can turn that off as well if you don't want to have that. Totally up to you. So everything in here is voluntary what you want to put in, but really designed to help you and protect you in an emergency and have all the kind of key information that could save your life. So do that right now. Take the health app and fill in that profile. So number one, protecting yourself and having that ready is already done then. And that will be useful for all types of emergency. Number two, now, if there's another type of emergency out there, you're going to want to get to information. So any type of weather emergency or something happening in the area, you want to know the latest. So you want to already be able to have those types of apps on your phone and ready to go. And those can include things that also, how do you respond in an emergency as well. download some of the Red Cross, Red Crescent apps. Version in your country for Red Cross, Red Crescent apps. But also you could just go to redcross.org and go to the apps page. And there you'll find so many amazing resources. Now, first of all, you'll want to have first aid. You may want to also have pet first aid. You may also want to find other types of resources about blood donation, transfusions, things like that as well. So those are all there. But also really great are their disaster relief apps. So the overall emergency one, highly recommend that for anything because it'll send alerts of whatever type of emergency there is and also get you started with all the basic information how to respond in different types of things that just may come up. So it's a great app to have. And then if in your area you are more subject to floods, hurricanes, tornadoes, etc., earthquakes, they have apps for those as well. So download anything that might be even remotely relevant to you so that you've got that great information right there at your fingertips. So they've got some fun videos and quizzes and things that are great for kids to help to prepare for emergencies. And so take a look at those apps because they could really help just to kind of demystify and to make emergency preparedness a little less scary for children and very knowledgeable. They also have things like water safety, so learning to swim and being prepared for those types of things as well. So take a look at what they've got, download everything that is relevant to you. They're all free and really great resources. We look at what is some of the other informational apps for your area. So normally there are great governmental apps that help in the case of an emergency. So for example, FEMA and CDC and some of those great apps that will help you to prepare in the case of an emergency. Download those so that you have them handy. It'll help you find emergency shelters or information on how to deal with particular medical conditions or emergency situations. So really great to get something that's a little bit more local and get that information that you need. So speaking of local, really important, a lot of emergencies are because of the weather. So download at least one really good weather app beyond the one that just gives you a little bit of a forecast of what the weather will be like today, because you'll want to see the big weather map. Many of those also have great capabilities to alert you should there be any severe weather on its way, so that you can prepare in advance. The two great apps that I recommend there are the NOAA app, so that's NOAA, and that is fantastic for notifications and also to be able to explore and really get the information that you need. The other great one is the Weather Underground, and that's Wonderground, and you'll find the same types of information, again, getting whatever it is that you need locally around the world. What is the weather information, getting also alerts and things like that. So really good apps. Download those now so that you have them and you don't need to rush to try to find them in the midst of an emergency. So much nicer to have those. And go ahead and set up those alerts. The other area is really about crowdsourcing around you. So finding out what's happening right in your local area. And so I really like to use apps that focus on people saying what's happening. Nextdoor app. So Nextdoor is one that has your neighbors in your app and they can post what's going on. So if you'd like to join that, you can also find out about community activities or things that you enjoy, but there's also a safety area and you will start to get all the local information from your neighbors about, there's a downed tree over this particular road, or even from your local community leader. Is there a shelter that's been set up? Things like that. So really, really good to get that really local information that can be so important in an emergency. I like other crowdsourcing things such as Waze, which is a traffic app. So if you are needing to drive, Waze will allow people to also put in what's going on. So you can see, yes, there's an accident over here, or these roads are flooded. You may also want some local news apps if you do, so that you can get the latest from them. Or number 3, which is what happens if, the mobile towers are out, your power is out, you actually can't use what's on your phone. I do recommend one old school way to do it is to get yourself and your loved ones maps, and like real physical maps on paper. So to show where your house is, where you will have a meeting point, and to actually really scope that out. We will meet here in the case of an emergency. That can be great, particularly if it's a common shelter. So lots of times schools are converted to become emergency shelters, or maybe a particular hospital. Those often become also kind of meeting points for people. So those can be really good. Then you can get yourself to a place where you really can, recharge, get that internet that you need, contact people. So to communicate to others and find those that are your loved ones and make sure they're okay, there's some really good ways to do that. Think about having a couple different ways that you can broadcast out that everything is fine, or that you need some assistance, or at least, giving updates about what's going on. So one is to have a text group. And a text group is great because you can already have it set up of all the people in that group that you'd want to communicate with. So setting that up in advance can be really great, and then you can just text out what is going on in your particular situation. You can also ask people, is everyone out there okay, etc. What's really nice about that is that it takes very little signal to be able to get that out. People can pick them up at various times, so that can be really helpful. Another great way to broadcast out is through social media. So particularly like Facebook already has some crisis areas that are set up. So when something serious happens, you can mark yourself as safe, and then that will broadcast out. So anyone who wants to check you can see that you are marked as safe. Your family members can do that as well. So you can also go and search and make sure that they are also okay. They may also have then resources so you can find out more about situations, and that's in Facebook's Crisis Center. So go there, find out more about what's going on, and also find out resources about asking your friends and family to mark themselves as safe, or also to broadcast that you are okay. So you may need to sign up with a group like the Red Cross or another emergency group to mark yourself as safe, or to mark your situation and find others. And then they can put those lists on the internet so that your loved ones can know the situation, and you can find out who's safe, where they are, that sort of thing. Really important to go ahead and sign up for those types of emergency communications, even if you do have a phone, because then others may be able to use that resource. So those are great ways to communicate out to a broadcast area. And that's really can be helpful to share both good news and bad news, or to give updates about people. It is terrible not to have the information, and while it may not be the most sensitive way to maybe communicate some bad news through the internet or through broadcast, it's better than people not knowing. There are also specific groups or apps where you can detail information about something that's going on so that people who are interested can keep abreast of what is happening. And that can be helpful, particularly if it's a long-term care situation or someone is in the hospital or someone is not doing well, that you can just type out what is happening, and then anyone who wants to get that information who you have put into that thread can find it. And then you don't have to tell lots of people. You can just, put that information out and people can get it when they're ready. It can be quite a relief to only have to give information out in one central area for folks. So if you do those 3 things, you'll be ready for any emergency. But do that now. Remember, number 1, protect yourself. Fill in that health app and the information that could save your life about your own medical conditions and also your emergency contact people. Number 2, you want to get the information that you need, and those are a couple different ways. Number 1 is to get those apps that actually have the information that you need, like the Red Cross apps, the local governmental apps, but also crowdsource apps, so that you know in your own neighborhood what is happening. And of course, have that really old school way of what is our meeting place in the event of an emergency. And then number 3, to be able to communicate and broadcast that you are okay or about an updated situation. So you want to make sure to have a text group set up to be able to know how to, on the internet and on your social media, to mark yourself as safe or to find the latest information. Remember, go ahead and again, go old school and sign up with those emergency workers, your name, information, so that others can then find you and know that you're okay and safe and sound. So make sure to download those now so that everything is ready and organized in your phone, so that you can be ready for anything. And also now start to think about, are there other things that maybe I want to have at home, in my car, for my pet, something like that to prepare for emergencies? If so, check out my other videos and checklists and resources so that you can find the best types of kits, what you would need, really to make it simple and easy to prepare and just feel like you're ready for anything. So if you like this video, please like the video and also subscribe to be inspired by other ways to help to prepare well, to live well. Thanks so much.